Welcome to this slideshow, Families and Wellbeing. My name is Mike Hope. I'm a trainer with Making Every Contact Count in Salford, and I'll be taking you through these slides. Before we get started, a little reminder about the MECC skills, which are listed out on the MECC in Salford website. What this presentation covers is this one: appreciate the role of adults' wellbeing behaviours on children and families. Let's start then by looking at this extract from a poem by Philip Larkin. Clearly he didn't enjoy the most positive relationship with his mum and dad, and he makes points that even though it's not intentional, parents will pass on what he says their faults to you. So their imperfections, their problems, they'll be passed on to you. Now, where we'd agree with Philip Larkin is that parents definitely do pass on stuff to their children, but where we might differ is that that is always negative. So let's just start by looking at that parent-child influence. It is important to recognise that parental lifestyle activities affect children. Parents are an important influence on their children's behaviour. Habits pass from generation to generation. So Philip Larkin was right in some ways. Children consider their parents as role models, and they're likely to behave similarly to them. So they will adopt their healthy or unhealthy activities. So it's important that we look at parents' influence on their children. So it might be worth pausing at this point and thinking about what your experience is. Do parents' wellbeing behaviours affect families and children? Did yours? I'm a father of 2 boys, and certainly since I've become a dad, I've noticed myself sounding more and more like my dad. So my experience is that it definitely does. But of course there are some things I do differently. So learning to be a parent. How do we learn to be a parent? It's not something we necessarily plan for. Some of us do, some of us don't, but once we're in it, there's a lot to learn. And what we first do is learn about parenting primarily through our own parents. So we think about, well, what happened to us and what should we do, and we talk to them and ask them for advice. Then, as secondary sources, we use friends, broadcast information and professional advice. So 2 important ones there to highlight: friends and professional advice. And we're often in a position to influence parents through sort of semi-professional advice in our roles at work. And by doing that, we do make parents feel more confident, not less confident about their abilities. So it's very common for us to be concerned about interfering with parenting, telling people what they should and shouldn't do, being viewed as a dangerous thing. But actually, if it's done properly, it is appreciated, and that's an important point for us to note first of all. So if you're going to remember one thing from this presentation, here it is: children want and need attention from their parents. So if they don't get that positive attention, they'll often use negative behaviour to gain parents' attention. So without proper attention, kids can start to cause you problems. So how do we deal with it? Let's look at some top tips. So first of all, thinking particularly about attention. So first thing, if a child wants to show you something, stop and pay attention. Put down the phone, stop what you're doing, and give them your full attention, and make it clear that you're giving them that attention. Spend frequent small amounts of time with your child, doing things that you both enjoy. So some positive, happy, short time together is really useful. Give your child lots of physical affection. So they like hugs, cuddles, holding hands, and it's something to be encouraged. Teach your child new skills. So for example, say please or thank you, and then praise them for the efforts that they've put in. Share aspects of your day with your child. So talk about what you've been doing, and use that as part of those small bits of time you can spend together. and talk to your child about things he or she is interested in. So my wife, for example, has developed quite a knowledge of football that she never had because of having 2 boys, and they really appreciate that. So let's move on then to consider top tips for behaviour. What can we do to encourage good behaviour? Well, first of all, give your child lots of descriptive praise when they do something. So thank you for doing that when I ask straight away. Avoid boredom. So children are more likely to misbehave when they're bored. So keep kids occupied. Set clear limits on your child's behaviour. Discuss the rules in the home and let your child know what the consequences will be if they break the rules. So they have to be agreed and then stuck to. If your child misbehaves, stay calm. Tell them to stop misbehaving and say what you would like them to do instead. So important point to finish then. What should you do instead? And praise your child if they stop misbehaving. And so give that positive encouragement for them to stop. Top tips, thinking about the parent themselves. There's such a focus on children, we can sometimes forget that parents have needs as well. So first of all, have realistic expectations. So all children will misbehave at times, and it will be inevitable. You'll have to have some disciplinary issues at some point. Don't seek perfection. So trying to be a perfect parent can set you up to fail, frustration and disappointment. And look after yourself. And so it's difficult to be calm and relaxed as a parent if you're stressed, anxious and depressed. And try to find time every week to let yourself unwind or do something that you enjoy. So it is important that you have a little bit of time to yourself, that you do some things for yourself. It isn't all about your children. So let's wrap it up then with a summary. First point, parent-child influence is strong. There's no getting away from that. However, frontline workers can be a secondary source of advice. So, even though parents are in the driving seat, we can help. And if it's sensitively delivered, it is appreciated by parents. So the key message that we need to get across, children want and need attention from their parents. Let's all remember that. Thank you for listening to that presentation.